In today's video, we're going to learn how to go from this to this.
Hey there, this is Drawing with Avi, a channel where we discuss all things digital art. So if that's your bag, feel free to subscribe. Coloring in grayscale is a technique where you first do your digital painting completely in monotone, and then you apply color to it once you're ready to complete your painting. This gives you the ability to focus on your composition, values, and forms without worrying about your colors. Now, the method we're going to explore here can work in Photoshop, Clip Studio Paint, Procreate, or Artflow. All the steps are exactly the same, it's just that the placement of your buttons will be a little different. So let's get into it. First thing we'll do is create a new document and open up our layer manager. We're going to create a new layer above our canvas layer. We'll name this layer as Grayscale. Then we're going to grab our paint bucket tool and fill that layer with a light gray. This will be the layer that will do our drawing. Why fill our entire layer with light gray? Doing this allows us to paint in values in both directions. We can paint in darker shadows or paint in brighter highlights. When you're painting on a white canvas, you're already working on the brightest value you can possibly use, which means you can only paint values in one direction. I like to block in my figure and background elements first, using a big brush, and then starting adding details with a smaller brush. This isn't a video on how to paint, so I'm gonna skip over a lot of what I'm doing here. If you guys are interested in a deeper breakdown of this process, please let me know in the comments below. Okay, great. Now we have a grayscale drawing that looks pretty decent. One thing to note is that at this stage of the painting, we don't have to be super polished, since we'll continue refining our illustration in the upcoming steps. But it should look defined enough where the shapes and tonal values are pretty clear. Next, we'll open up our layer manager and create a new layer above the grayscale layer. We'll name this one Color. Then we're going to change the blending mode of this layer to Color. On Photoshop, this is just a drop down in the Layer Manager panel, but in other software, this may be hidden by the layer menu settings. Check the video descriptions below for instructions on how to find this in the software of your choice. Now, we're going to grab our paintbrush tool and select our desired color for the painting. Make sure you're using the newly created color layer and then simply start applying color to your canvas. And almost like magic, you'll see that the color is being applied to your drawing. Keep applying your colors as needed for your illustration. Paint in deeper hues for your shadowed areas or more neutral hues for your well-lit areas. One thing to note is that your color may seem a little washed out compared to the hue you actually selected. Don't worry, this is normal. One way to combat this is to use a slightly more saturated color when brushing in your color. But don't fret too much, because our next step will start addressing this problem. Alright, we got colors applied to our drawing, but everything seems a little bland. We need to add some pop to this painting. It's time we start working on our next layer. We're going to open up our layer manager once again and create a new layer and call it Overlay. And then we'll switch our blending mode to, you guessed it, Overlay. Now that we have 3 layers in our document, it's important that we make sure that we're painting on the correct layer. One thing I like to do is to lock the layers that I'm not using, just in case. Now grab your paintbrush, select the colors you want, and start painting. With this new overlay layer, you'll notice that you're not just applying more color to your canvas, but you're actually also affecting the tonal values, making the shadows deeper or your highlights more bright. Experiment with different brushes like the airbrush tool to achieve varying levels of contrast or softness. At this stage, it's completely okay to switch back and forth from your different layers, adjusting things as you need them. But for now, I think it's time we head into the next step. Okay, we have a fairly decent looking illustration at this point, but we've run into a roadblock. We need to start blending elements together or add more opaque colors to our painting. It's time we commit and merge our layers. Now this can be scary if you're commitment phobe like me. You can save your document as a copy at this stage or duplicate your layers into a folder so you don't lose the separation of your layers. Either way, we gotta commit. Open up the layer manager and combine all of your layers into one layer. Now this will take us full circle, as if we've been painting on one layer this entire time. Grab your paintbrush tool or blending tool and start polishing your painting. Refine your details, smooth out appropriate areas, or add more harsh contrast where needed. At the end of it, you'll have a digital painting that was less stressful to complete because you were able to separate the process and experiment with colors without committing to them until you were ready. So those are my tips for combating your fear of color with the Grayscale method. What'd you guys think? Do you think putting your colors into separate process is useful? Drop a comment below and let me know. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If so, hit that like button or consider subscribing if you want to see more. Until next time, keep drawing.